The shifting sands and the steadfast stone. Beneath a sky of brilliant, unrelenting blue, the great desert stretched to every horizon, a vast ocean of shimmering gold. The sun beat down with a fierce intensity, making the air dance and quiver above the dunes. In this immense and silent landscape, two figures moved, their silhouettes small against the endless expanse of sand. They were Amir and Jamal, friends since boyhood, who had sworn to travel together to the fabled city of Al-Nur, which lay on the far side of the desert. Amir, with his quick movements and even quicker temper, was a man of action and impulse. Jamal, in contrast, was of a quieter, more thoughtful disposition, his calm nature a steady anchor to Amir's restless energy. For weeks they had walked, their bond of friendship the only shield against the loneliness of their journey. The days, however, had begun to wear on them. Their water was low, their food supplies dwindling, and the featureless landscape offered no sign that their destination was near. The heat frayed their nerves, and the silence that had once been companionable now felt heavy and oppressive. It was during the hottest part of one afternoon that their patience finally snapped. They were arguing over the direction of their travel. Amir, trusting his gut, insisted they head towards a distant ridge of rock that shimmered like a mirage. Jamal, consulting the stars the night before, was certain they needed to bear more to the east. "You and your stars," Amir scoffed, his voice raspy from thirst. "We will be skeletons before your celestial map leads us anywhere. And your instincts will lead us in circles until we drop," Jamal retorted, his usual calm beginning to fray. "Patience, Amir. We must stick to the plan." The argument grew hotter than the desert sun, their words becoming sharp and hurtful. In a flash of frustration and anger, Amir raised his hand and struck Jamal across the face. The slap echoed in the sudden, shocked silence. A red mark bloomed on Jamal's cheek, but the deeper wound was not visible. It was the sting of betrayal, the pain that a hand he trusted so completely could cause him harm. He looked at Amir, his eyes filled not with anger, but with a profound and quiet hurt. Amir, instantly regretting his action, opened his mouth to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Shame and remorse washed over him. Without a word, Jamal turned away. He knelt slowly upon the hot sand. With his forefinger, he began to trace letters in the soft, yielding grains. The other travelers of the desert, the wind, the scuttling beetles, the circling hawk high above, were his only witnesses. He wrote, "Today, my best friend slapped me in the face." He stood up, brushed the sand from his knees, and looked at Amir, his expression unreadable. Then he turned and began to walk in the direction Amir had indicated, a silent concession that ended the argument, but not the tension between them. They walked on, the silence now a chasm between them, the memory of the slap hanging in the air. As they walked, a gentle breeze began to stir, whispering over the dunes and softly, inexorably, blurring the words Jamal had written, until they were nothing but a smooth, unmarked patch of sand once more.
For what felt like an eternity, they journeyed onward. Just as their hope was beginning to wither, they saw it. Nestled between two rocky outcrops was a splash of impossible green, an oasis. With renewed energy, they stumbled towards it, their thirst a fire in their throats. It was a place of life and restoration. A pool of clear, cool water was fringed with date palms, their fronds offering blessed shade. The friends drank deeply, splashing the life-giving water on their faces and weary limbs. The relief was so immense that it began to melt the ice that had formed between them. "Let's bathe," Amir suggested, his voice gentle, an unspoken apology. Jamal nodded. Eager to wash away the grime and fatigue of the desert, Jamal waded into the pool. The water was refreshing, but as he moved towards the center, the firm ground beneath his feet suddenly gave way. He was in a patch of deep, clinging mire, and it was pulling him down with a terrifying force. He thrashed, but his movements only seemed to wedge him deeper. Panic seized him as the muddy water rose to his chest. "Amir!" he cried, his voice choked with fear. Amir, who had been about to enter the water, saw his friend's plight. Without a moment's hesitation, he plunged in. He fought his way through the thick water, his own feet sinking in the treacherous mud. He grabbed Jamal's arm, pulling with all his might. The mire's grip was strong, but the bond of their friendship was stronger. With a final desperate heave, Amir dragged a sputtering and terrified Jamal back to the safety of solid ground. Jamal lay on the bank, coughing up water, his body trembling. Gratitude, deep and overwhelming, filled him. He looked at Amir, who was kneeling beside him, his face etched with concern, and saw not the man who had struck him, but the friend who had just saved his life. After he had rested and recovered his strength, Jamal rose and walked to the edge of the oasis, where the walks began. He searched until he found a large, flat-faced stone, its surface smoothed by centuries of wind. Then he picked up a smaller, sharper piece of granite and began to painstakingly chip away at the larger stone. The work was slow and deliberate, each strike of rock on rock a testament to the effort. It took him nearly an hour, but finally he was finished. Carved deep into the surface were the words, "Today my best friend saved my life." Amir had watched him in silence. Now he approached, his heart full of a question he had to ask. "Jamal," he said softly, "after I hurt you, you wrote it in the sand, but now you have carved this into stone. Why?" Jamal looked from the steadfast stone to his friend's face. A gentle smile touched his lips. "Because," he replied, his voice clear and steady, "because when someone hurts us, we should write it down in the sand, where the winds of forgiveness can erase it easily and carry it away. But when someone does something kind and good for us, something truly wonderful, we must engrave it in stone so that no wind, no matter how strong, can ever erase the memory of it." Amir looked at the deeply etched words, then at the vast desert around them, and finally at his friend. He understood. In the heart of that great desert, he learned a lesson not of maps or stars, but of the human heart.